ended up finding a system and learning enough information for myself that I was able to turn my little $30 bin trip and my tiny little business into a six-figure business. And I did that by myself. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Shannon and I am a mom, always a mom first and foremost, and I'm also a six-figure eBay seller. So if you clicked on my video today, I'm guessing it's because you're looking for information on how to start selling online and making money. And I'm going to also make the guess that you are probably like I was and you're worried about how you're gonna pay for food or rent or bills, anything, like I was. So here we go. I'm gonna give you guys my story, how I started with eBay and how I think I can help you. Ago, my husband and a partner of ours and I decided we were going to open a motorcycle shop. And not very long after we got into that endeavor, it ended up taking us longer to open. And then when the shop was open, it wasn't doing as well as we were hoping that it would. And pretty soon after, we started to fall behind on rent because things cost more than you expect that they will when you're a small business owner. And we started really feeling like we were getting into trouble, which is definitely not a good place to be when you are a full-time breastfeeding mom with a baby who depends on you and having a house and rent that you have to pay. It's a stressful situation. It's not comfortable and it's scary as hell. So I had a friend at the time who knew somebody who was a reseller. She sold on Poshmark, but even so, she was making $2,000 a month in sales. And I was like, oh my God, $2,000 a month. That's incredible. That's amazing. I want to do that. But I kind of pushed off the idea because I was like, no, I'm not going to get into something right now. But then it came time that I didn't know where the next week's grocery bills were going to come, the grocery money was going to come from. And we had fallen behind on our rent. And I thought, I've got to do something. So I took the last $30 that I had and I went with my son and my friend and we went to the Goodwill bins. If you don't know what the Goodwill bins are, let me explain them to you. Most of us are familiar with Goodwill retail stores where you go in and everything's on hangers and it's way overpriced. Goodwill, I hope you hear that. And the store is organized and it's a nice shopping experience. The bins is not that. So the Goodwill bins are where all of Goodwill's items go to die, basically. It's either things that didn't sell in the eBay store, or in the Goodwill store that they can't sell, so they make a last-ditch effort to sell it at their bin location, or it's a surplus of items that they couldn't process that were donated, or it's processed items from donations that they don't deem worthy enough to sell, because believe it or not, Goodwill does not sell everything you give it. So what they do is they dump it all out on these tables, and it's really barely sorted. It's sorted into clothes, shoes, and hard goods. Those are the basics. And then they pull out CDs and books and things like that. And everything except for like books and bicycles and CDs is paid for by the pound. So when you're paying about $1.69 a pound, which is what the price was when I started, when you're paying maybe it was less than $1.69. When you're paying that per pound and you have $30, that's a good amount of clothes. So I grabbed a whole bunch of things that I thought were good finds. I think I was probably really off and wrong about a lot of them in terms of brands that do and don't sell. But I did the best that I could because I've always had a fashion sense. I've always had an eye and an understanding of what's good quality. I did work in retail for a short time in my life, so I grabbed what I thought I could sell and learned what I could off of the internet at the time and other resellers that were on social media sharing their knowledge. And I just went with it. I had a decent wood floor and thought that was nice enough as a background, and I had a window, and in Portland, Oregon in February, which is when I started, the month I started, there's not a lot of sunlight coming through, but I used what I had. And I started making sales like pretty soon after I started, which was an amazing feeling because I had money almost right away. I was able to make back that $30, and then I was able to make enough to go food shopping, and I very quickly was able to start making some decent money to at least pay for our food, and so that we always had a fridge full of stuff. And then soon enough I was able to make enough to start paying rent, and that was just amazing, and it was very empowering. And I did all of this, by the way, as a full-time mom. I had no help. We have no family living nearby, none at the time. And I was still helping my husband at the shop where I could, and still taking care of this little life that depended on me all day, every day, because I was breastfeeding at the time. He didn't like to nap alone. He needed mommy, and the house needed to be taken care of. But I was able to do it. And the whole point of this story is so that you guys understand, if I can do it, you guys will be able to do it too. But the thing was that I started at the same time as a lot of other sellers did on social media, and I noticed that their businesses just like took off. And within 3 to 6 months, where they were was definitely not where I was. And I had thought that at the time it was only because, well, I need the money out of my business and they don't, so they're just putting all their money right back into the business and they're able to grow it. And that was part of the reason, but that wasn't the whole reason. I was also comparing myself to people who were single, didn't have kids, lived alone, were able to do this full time. And when I say full time, I mean, that was their only job. There's no baby depending on them. There's no other business depending on them, that kind of thing. I couldn't find at the time another mom who was a full-time mom and who had no additional help from a spouse or anything else like that, who was doing what I was doing. So I didn't have anybody that I could relate to, and I didn't have anybody that I could really directly learn from. So I just kind of adapted all these things that I was picking up from sellers here and there, and doing a lot of trial and error. I will never forget getting on the phone with one of these resellers who was doing really well and who genuinely wanted to help other sellers, but he's a single young guy living alone, no girlfriend, nothing. And he flat out told me, you need to start listing 30 to 40 items a day. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm barely able to do 15 a day now, and I'm falling asleep with the phone in my hand at the end of every day. And you're telling me you want me to do how much more? I was angry at that, because he wanted to help me, and it was good advice, but it wasn't advice for a mom. It wasn't advice for somebody who has to have 5 million other jobs at the same time. So I just kind of did that trial and error thing for a while, and I did end up making it work, and I ended up finding a system and learning enough information for myself that I was able to turn my little $30 bin trip and my tiny little business into a 6-figure business. And I did that by myself with my kid growing up at the same time. He's 5 years old now, and we are actually about to move out of the country to Europe, and I'm going to be leaving eBay in a few months. And so I would like to take this time to share everything that I know with other young families out there that could really use an extra $500, $1,000, $2,000 a month. There are simple things you guys can be doing right now, and I want to help share. I want to share everything that I have in my mind with you guys, because it does no good sitting there in my head. And if I help just one of you, if I can make a difference in just one of your lives, then that will be worth it.